Hi. So let's talk a little bit about the 10 bodies in Kundalini Yoga. Excuse me. So most of us grew up with the physical body being the only body that we were ever taught about, that was ever really talked about. And then, of course, the mind. And you are neither your physical body and you're not your mind. We're actually made up of the physical body, and we also have several other bodies. And I just kind of wanted to touch on these. So you have three mental bodies, and then you have six energy bodies. Not really sure what's happening with my avatar's eyes, but yeah, that's definitely going in the blooper reel. Okay, so the 10 bodies, plus I've added an additional one. So the first body is the soul body, which relates to humility. Yep, and there go her eyes. And all of these I put in the description. So if you want to read through, please feel free to do that because I'll have all of this information in the description. So the soul body, which is humility, obviously it relates to the first chakra because we're going to start at the root chakra and then we just work our way up the body. So this has to do with creativity because your root chakra along with stability also has to do with creativity because that's where you're starting from. And it's the are you being guided by your heart or are you being guided by your head? Is one of the questions that you can ask. Do I feel creative? Do I live from my heart or am I living from my head? Those are some good questions to ask when looking at which area you want to start on. This is also obviously the divine light within our hearts. This allows you to trust fully and it's freedom from fear. I don't know why she is stuck, but we're just gonna roll with her wonkiness. And then to bring into balance, you want to raise the Kundalini energy up through the rest of the bodies. And then this also will open your heart at the same time. Okay, let me see if I can get her to lift her head back up. So a possible challenge is when there is a disconnect between the head and the heart. Either you're living from one or the other and not necessarily that they're in balance or communicating with each other, which can be problematic. The second body is the negative mind. This has to do with obedience. And it's also where if you're thinking of things in too negative of a light, you're probably living from your negative mind, or there's an overemphasis on the negative mind. This also relates to the second chakra. It also, when it's stable or when it's healthy, it helps you to recognize danger. So there is a positive for the negative mind. It's not just about seeing things from a negative perspective. This is where the longing to belong comes from. It's your second chakra. Your negative mind obviously is going to drive you to be in community with other people. So one of the challenges is, as I said, you tend to see things from a negative light. There's not really a lot of positivity. Wow, her eyes are really struggling to stay open today. And also, another, I wouldn't say defining, but another thing that you can make aware of or make yourself aware of is if you're drawn into inappropriate relationships. That's probably a pretty good indication that your second chakra is weak and your negative mind is uh, taking over. There's not really a balance between the positive or neutral, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And then to balance this, you just want to build relationships based on integrity. And that's across the board. Any kind of relationship that you're in, any, business, personal, romantic, you should want them based on integrity. That will help strengthen your second chakra and your negative mind. Some key questions you can ask for this, for your second chakra and the negative mind are, what do I need to consider in this situation? What is there something that I'm missing that I'm unaware of? And then can I determine whether or not the situation is dangerous, unsafe, unstable? Is it lacking in integrity? So, just some key questions that you can ask to see if maybe that's an area that you need to work on your second chakra or the negative mind needs to be balanced. So, now the positive mind, which has to do with equality, and this also has to do with your gift, what you bring to the world. It relates to the third chakra, which is your navel center. And I will tell you that a strong navel center actually gives a lot of stability to all of the other bodies. So if you've got a strong navel center, your other bodies can kind of anchor to that, and it gives you a little bit more strength. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't work on the other bodies, because you may have some weak areas that do need your attention and should be addressed. Just wanted to point that out. And then, of course, obviously, the positive mind is a positive outlook, right? You can see positivity in pretty much everything. You've got a good outlook, you're hopeful. The possible challenge for that is being overly optimistic or idealistic, right? Which can lead to bigger problems. If you don't have a negative mind that's kind of going, well, we need to flag a couple things here, that can be problematic. So another way that the negative mind is a counterpoint and a great balance. And then positive mind, if it's overactive, you're unable to see the danger because again, it's kind of overwhelming the negative mind doing its work with telling you there's a flag or letting you know there's an issue. You could also lack boundaries. So a way to balance this is to strengthen your navel center, which is one of my go-to moves if I'm feeling unstable or unsteady. Navel center work is where I start because that kind of highlights where where my biggest issues are hiding or what I need to focus on. And then self-esteem building is obviously going to help with this as well. I've noticed that at least for myself, strengthening the navel center will increase your self-esteem. So if you work on your first chakra, which has to do with basic necessities, right? That also can be a foundation for self-esteem. So if you had an unstable upbringing or you're currently in an unstable environment where you don't feel secure for whatever reason, it's financial, it's personal, it's you don't know if you need to move, things like that, that can obviously impact your self-esteem as well. So it may not necessarily be that it's deep rooted. It could just be that you're in a transition, but building up the strength in your navel center will help, and then also working on first chakra um, or the soul body, that can help to also anchor and strengthen that self-esteem as well. Positive affirmations are good for this. I tend to not use positive affirmations because for me, they don't really have any meaning. They're just kind of empty words that I would say over and over that didn't really resonate. So, in place of positive affirmations, I use mantras because those feel like they actually have an effect for me. So, if positive affirmations work for you, that's wonderful. Please continue to use those. If not, if you're finding that positive affirmations leave something lacking for you as well, try mantras. They help me. Now, let's move to the fourth body, which is the neutral mind. The neutral mind is about service, and this has to do with your destiny. Now, I don't necessarily believe in destiny. I don't necessarily think that anything is predetermined per se. I think we have more control over that in as much as when you meditate, you're working on your issues. That's why I meditate. So, destiny in this sense, I'm not saying as like a concrete set of it's predetermined. You still have to work for it. Maybe there's an outline, but you still need to work to get there. So this relates to the fourth chakra, and the neutral mind is obviously going to weigh the positive and negative minds. It's going to take all of the information from both the flags from the negative and the raving reviews from the positive, and it's going to weigh that information to make the best possible choice for the situation. You balance this through meditation. You balance this through working out. You balance this through Kundalini, Kriyas, yoga, that type of thing. And then possible challenge when the neutral mind is weak is you can be indecisive and reactive. You can be opinionated and feel victimized. You don't see the meaning in your circumstances within the bigger picture of what's going on, which, let's face it, who hasn't gotten lost in what am I doing? I cannot see how this is impacting the future or the bigger picture. So that's an indication to focus on your neutral mind to balance the positive and negative minds. All right, next we have the physical body. So finally, the fifth body is your physical body, which is about self-sacrifice. And this relates to the fifth chakra. The physical body is where all nine bodies play out their parts, right? Because without the physical body, the other bodies they don't have an anchor. The physical body is an anchor. So, and the physical body gives you the ability to sacrifice, whether that's volunteering, it's time with your family, it's dedication to a cause. I mean, sacrifice is kind of an unlimited, ginormic word, right? It can mean many things, very ambiguous. And then as a teacher, it gives you the ability to clearly explain any abstractions. So this one you can also balance through kriyas or through teaching, which, as they say, it's to really master something. Once you learn something, the best thing you can do is teach it to somebody else, right? That's how you master the information, and it shows you where you feel solid with the information, where the knowledge is still kind of slippery and you're not real sure. So probably just teaching is a good one, just as a life rule. At least that's what I found. So when this is weak, when your physical body is weak, you can feel angry, greedy, jealous, competitive. Your inner and outer realities are not balanced, right? Because you have an overemphasis on either outer or inner. There isn't a balance. The two have to be balanced. They have to coordinate, right? You can't spend all your life in your inner world because then you're not doing anything in the outer world, which you're needed in the outer world. If you're only spending time in the outer world, you're not doing any inner work, and how are you going to grow? So it has to be balanced. Everything is balanced. And then this one, you can run into issues with expressing yourself verbally. And I have been doing a lot of that lately. So I think my physical body is asking for some extra workouts is what I'm thinking is happening. And then you can also experience difficulty as a teacher. Oh, and I forgot. So for the physical body, some great key questions you can ask, as my avatar looks like she's fallen asleep on me. That's always encouraging. Do I use my strengths and assets for the good of all? That's a good question to ask. And then I forgot for the neutral mind, do you allow yourself to perceive and act upon inner wisdom? Because right, it's the cross between the positive and the negative. That's where the wisdom comes from, is all of the information from the positive and negative. How do I live? Am I living from a place of wisdom? And then I'm not sure if I did the positive mind. So just in case, to reiterate, some key questions for the positive mind are: am I open to all possibilities, and do I allow these possibilities into my life? All right. The sixth body is the arc line. This is about justice, and this pertains to the sixth chakra, the pituitary gland. Now, the arc line goes from the earlobe to earlobe, across the brow and the hairline, across the brow point and the hairline. So it makes like a halo, right? Now women have a second arc line that runs from nipple to nipple, so across the body. So we have two. This body allows you to manifest your desires, to stay focused, to be meditative, to be intuitive. And then it also balances the nervous and glandular systems, protecting the heart, which, when you think about the woman's second arc line, seems pretty funny because women are said to live from their heart. So it's kind of funny that we have an extra arc line just to kind of help balance and strengthen that. And then, of course, it allows you to, or enables you to live, or deal, I should say, well, at this point, live with stress without shutting your heart down. Times are pretty stressful right now. And then to balance this, you can work on your pituitary gland by focusing on the third eye point, the brow point. So most meditations are going to strengthen the arc line just by virtue of a lot of them are your eyes are closed, you're focused at the eyebrow point, right? The third eye point. Um, if this is weak, you're gonna feel challenged to meditate, whether that's staying in the meditation, you're zoning in and out, getting to the mat to meditate, concentration. You may be unable to concentrate. You're struggling to dial in to what you're doing. And then trusting your intuition is going to be a challenge for you, and overprotective. Because if you don't have a strong arc line, you don't feel like you are protected, right? So you're going to overcompensate to ensure that you have that protection. A good question for the arc line is, am I able to manifest my goal? And then am I doing so with integrity? The seventh body is the aura, which is mercy. This has to do with the soul and karma. So since this is the electromagnetic field around the body, it's both encasing the soul as well as it's got the encoding of your karma, right? It's the magnet for what is needed to heal that karma, as well as your dharma, to live out your dharma. It's that magnetic field drawing to it what's needed, right? And then, so the aura actually extends 9 feet in every direction. I read somewhere, and I don't remember where, that people that you come across where you're like, oh my God, they're a huge presence. Their auras are like 11 feet. That's why they are just like larger than life. It's because their aura is massive. I've been trying to get my aura to be 11 feet, and I think I've only done it like 2 or 3 times. It felt pretty cool though. You do notice a difference. And then when you're strong in your aura, you feel confident and secure. No illnesses can penetrate the aura. And again, you attract that positivity, repelling the negativity, and you're uplifting. So again, think that ginormic aura or that big personality. It's their aura. They're bringing in everything because it's 11 feet wide. So to balance this, meditating and wearing white clothing made of natural fibers will strengthen your aura. And when this is weak, you can be easily overwhelmed. You can feel like a burden to others, or you can become a burden to others and you don't trust yourself, which makes sense. They say that well, I should say my experience is when I've entered a situation where I don't feel comfortable or confident, I can feel myself sucking my aura closer to my body. And it's like a condensing, right? It's so that it makes me smaller. So if you think about, how you respond when you're feeling insecure, most people are going to pull in, right? They're going to make themselves smaller, whether that's, raising your shoulders, it's, clenching your fists, it's bringing your arms closer to your body. Um, you could say that puffing out and still clinging, like some people will puff their chest out, but their arms will come close to their body. It's that kind of condensing. So yeah, they're defensive, but they're also condensing. So a good question for the aura. Good questions to reflect on for the aura are, do I feel security in universal love? And then do I hesitate in uplifting myself or others? Number 8, or the eighth body, is the pranic body, which is pure because it's energy, right? It's just an energy body. This draws prana, which is energy, into the body on the breath, which is life, right? When this is strong, when your prana body is strong, you're fearless, centered, and self motivated. You have the energy to fulfill your goals. This body for me is struggling hard. I have next to no energy right now. I feel very overwhelmed with stress. And then to balance this, you want to practice pranayama, which are breathwork meditations, which we've done several where you're just focused on the breath. You can think of the ones where it's the 8-stroke breath, the 4-stroke breath, breath of fire, any of the ones where are cannon breath, lion's breath. All of those are going to be great for your pranic body. When this is weak, you're going to feel fearful, defensive, and sluggish. Sluggish for me, that one hits. I feel very sluggish, especially this week. And for the pranic body, a good question is, do I fearlessly embrace life? Do I have enough energy to fulfill my goals? And for me right now, I'm fulfilling my goals with or without energy. It's kind of where we're at. All right. And then the ninth body is the subtle body, which is about calmness. Um, this has to do with your path, where you've come from, where you're at, where you're going. And again, this is not set in stone. This is Oh, and my avatar is frozen. Okay, so she's not gonna blink. She just looks like she's staring off. That's encouraging. Okay, well, we're almost done. So, with the subtle body, this helps you learn quickly and the ability to master situations with ease. This is also about intuition and a powerful calm. I always visualize the subtle body as like the midway point for me, and it's very soothing. It's almost like just walking in a warm bath where you feel just at ease and at peace regardless of where you are. This body is about the ability to see beyond the obvious. There isn't a mystery because you get what the real purpose of life is. So you're not really lost in that aspect of things. This body is also what carries the soul when it leaves the body. So to balance this, you want to maintain a meditation or a kriya for 1,000 days. I highly recommend doing this at least once. I've done this with Sat Kriya and it was amazing. Now, when you get to day 500, you're going to feel kind of cut adrift. So I would recommend doing a meditative layering, add in another meditation to help you see those remaining 500 days through because it gets rough. And then if the subtle body is weak, you're going to be easily gullible and easily taken advantage of. Easily gullible. So you're going to be gullible and easily taken advantage of. Easily gullible doesn't really work there. So scratch that. You're unrefined in speech and behavior. So just kind of uncouth all around because you have no calmness, right? You're not really sure how to act. You just kind of act because you don't have that calm, intuitive center. Okay, and then the 10th body is your radiant body, which is courage. Obviously has to do with being courageous, radiant, noble, and graceful, and it gives you a magnetic presence. So I always think of the radiant body as kind of like emanating from the aura because the two are similar, at least for me. And then to balance this, you want to commit to something that's healthy, something that's elevating and uplifting, and don't cut your hair. Um, this has a lot to do with um, when you cut your hair, you're cutting that energy off. You're severing, for lack of a better phrase, what's led you here. Um, that one I don't really know about, so it's kind of hard for me to. I mean, I get the reasoning behind it. It's similar to Native Americans talking about they only cut their hair when someone passes away, and that's to honor their memory. Otherwise, they don't cut their hair. So it's an honorary thing. You're it's an unnecessary sacrifice to cut your hair. So since I don't really intellectually I understand, emotionally I don't get it, if that makes sense. So I want to put that in there so in case that hits for you, you've got that information. When the radiant body is weak, you're going to have a fear of conflict. You're going to feel ineffective in life and you're going to feel shyness. So there is an 11th embodiment that I want to talk about. It's considered the command center. This is where you can see the universe in all, or see God in all, if you prefer the term God. This is why we meditate, is to reach the 11th embodiment because it's divinity, right? It's truthfulness, it's content, it's divine vision, it's Buddha nature, it's what's the other one? um, Jesus compassion. Now I don't remember what the phrase is. There's no duality with this one. And once you, or to get to the 11th embodiment, you master all 10 of the bodies. All of the bodies are in balance, all of them are communicating, everybody is solid. You're finding success in your life and you're uplifting others with you as you elevate. When this is weak, you're going to be a fanatic. You're going to be fanatical. There's going to be a lot of clinging. You're going to live from suffering. And then to balance this, to reach the 11th embodiment, there's a meditative recitation you can do of the words of the Siri Guru Granth Sahib. It's pretty long, so I didn't include a link to that. If you want me to include that link, let me know and I'll add it to the description. But for right now, I have not added it. So this video is going to be a little bit longer, but I did want to be thorough with talking about these. Oh crap. So the subtle body, a good question to ask for that is, are you subtle and sensitive? What is the real purpose of life? And then are you able to penetrate beyond just superficiality, or do you stay at the surface level? Questions for the radiant body. Is my life an example of courage? Is it an example of royalty? Is it an example of creativity? And then for the 11th embodiment, is my identity Satnam, truth, right? Is my identity truth? Am I living from that truth? Do I allow infinity to flow through me? So, um, sorry for the longer video. I try to keep these short, but I don't want to cut down on the material. And my apologies for the avatar just freezing at the end. I hope it wasn't too much of a distraction. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon.